probably do first is that spring up day. And then go start down and questions on the board first. Most of us had a chance to see this earlier today. It came out around lunchtime. I got an email around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So, who wants to start? Any questions for anybody? Mr. Sonnies?
Jeff, can you explain to me the difference between making the repairs and the new bleachers? I mean, what's the extent of the repairs? I know you know over some of the stuff.
Well, we went over a lot. We also talked a lot about testing them. We talked about the steel structure itself. That is starting to rust in many areas, so he would have to be replaced, rewelded, and just coated. But the extent of the repairs, according to our bleacher man, was $945,000.
Would we lose, we would have the same capacity for both new bleachers and the existing ones?
Yes, the new bleachers would be about 5,000 also, 3,000 on the home side, 2,000 on the visitor side.
Jeff, I asked the question down there. What's the lifespan? If we repair the bleachers, what would be the lifespan? He said if we got new bleachers, it would be 30 to 40 years. So if we fix the bleachers, what's the expected lifespan?
He said about 10 years. Lifespan would be about 10 years when fixing the bleachers.
Is mine on? Timing-wise, with all this construction being either option, what are we looking at? I mean, because it's mid-February right now. And technically football starts in September. I know that it's a little bit later this year.
Well, if the board directed us to put the lights back up, we obviously could do that before September. I do not believe we could do $945,000 worth of repairs of the bleachers in that time. We are looking into possibly getting bleachers before September, new bleachers, I guess either at Yoder or the high school. And, that's a meeting that we were at last night to see if that timing is possible.
Okay, so lights aside, you're saying if bleachers at Yoder, possible, not possible? Because my concern then is if it's not possible, what happens to this fall?
Mike, do you agree that it's possible to get bleachers at Yoder and also new ones? I don't think we can get the repairs made.
Okay.
And again, I think we can get the lights replaced, not new with the ones we have. We know we believe, or we're working towards finding out that we can possibly get new bleachers at the high school. And at St. Word, I'm assuming we can then get new bleachers at Poppy too. But we, again, it's something we have to find out or give direction to soon. Because there is a bidding period for this.
Thank you.
Would we go out to bid for the new bleachers, or we get them off the co-stars?
Unfortunately, bleachers aren't co-stars anymore, so we'll have to go out to bid. So that's a 3-week advertising.
Yeah. So what would be the time? Like, what would be the time frame working backwards if we wanted to get them for September?
We are looking at a March 15th direction from the board. Did advertising. So we're really looking at approval right away, Monday night approval. Advertising on March 11th, mandatory pre-bid. March 21st, receive bids. March 24th, notice proceed, April 8th. That's to get bleachers, assembled bleachers, August 4th to September 2nd. We understand the first game at home is not until September 26th. That helps us a little bit. It gives us 3 more weeks versus September 1st. So unfortunately, yes, if you want bleachers in either place, it can be applied pretty quickly.
Jeff, can I ask you about the scoreboard? Is that important? Is that a safety issue as well, replace that, or is this just,
No, it's not a safety issue, it's just doesn't working properly.
it doesn't work?
Part of it works. Oh,
And can that be fixed for less than 40,000?
I tried to fix it 2 or 3 times, I just can't get that one to work.
Okay.
So, but the timer works. The camera works.
As long as the home side works.
The home side works.
Yeah, I wanted to come back a little bit, like, you know, if I'm sitting up there and I'm thinking, okay, we're talking about going big bleachers and what if we put them here, and what direction we're going to go in. You know, part of the reason that this is picked up speed is the safety aspect of the other field. So that combined with playing the games there and letting the public come on that field, that's what I think we should have some discussion about that. Like, how do we feel as a board, knowing what we know now about, you know, the slip, you know, the aluminum is worn, it's like ice on it. So the safety in conjunction with, you know, we have insurance coverage. It's not like someone said we should get another bid. You know, now, you know, one of my fears is now people know we have an unsafe condition. Now, the next thing is, how do we protect our district from, you know, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to just say, open for business as usual? We play the games there with no fans there? I mean, that's some of the stuff I like to hear people talk about that. Because no one really wants, this decision, or this, not decision, but this topic's been going on for years now. And it's not a fun thing to be talking about. So, you know, it's like putting off your surgery. There's no good time to get your knee replaced. So I think we should talk about that. And just, I'd like to hear what people think about, are we just going to, you know, when the public and when we come up with the way we feel about safety, then that takes us to the next part, where if we get bleachers and if we do get it, where are they going?
And I
Is that
think,
right with everybody? Yeah. Because I feel the place that we're going to be opening ourselves up. I'll stop talking in a minute. We're going to be opening ourselves up. Moving, I think we'll turn this and moving from liability to a negligence area. That's where I think we need to look.
I think part of what Mr. Kessler was saying is the board had directed me to actually put off limits to the bleachers right now because of the safety concerns. They are roped off, we do have a sign on them, do not enter. So if the repairs are made or they're remodeled or removed.
I'm not sure what you're saying, Barry. I mean, we have to make a decision either to, it seems to me, we have to either replace the bleachers or fix them before we do anything. Is that correct?
Well, I'm trying to incorporate that aspect of it with the upcoming season. Like, you know, the reason we're rushing for 5 years since I've been. So we're rushing to get it done so they can play there, if that's where we're going to go. I just want everybody to be aware of it.
Well,
We're not rushing to hurry up and get up at the high school.
no, but if we make the commitment to go to repair those bleachers, or, you know, then we're saying we're making a commitment to play football out the Yoder.
Or we might not be able to play if that's the way we go, because they're going to have to tear them. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts here.
I guess, you know, I would look forward is, you know, the field repairs that you have in there. I mean, that would obviously involve taking the field down for how long?
Yeah, we would take it down for well over a year. We would need 6 months approval permitting prior.
No, I know that can't happen. I'm thinking.
But then we go down for a full year.
Eventually, that has to be done.
I mean, one of the things we talked about with East Rockville was phasing in of everything. That would be the same thing at top of the other field. We just couldn't shut it down completely. Yes. Which we couldn't. That doesn't really help too much.
Barry, I think what you're trying to say is that up until tonight, we came here with a light issue. And now, after the last meeting, now we know that it's a safety issue. And it's not a matter of just putting back the lights so that we can play on Friday night. It's a matter of, like you're saying, we have to make a conscious decision of what you're saying, that we know it's not safe. So to just say, you can go back and use these bleachers right now.
Well, the way I read the report was that, you know, the writer, the loss control guy was wondering, like, why, like, what's taking us so long to realize we have to repair this? So it's like, I think while you're deciding to demolish or replace, do the following repairs, which suggest what Jeff was talking about. And the cost of those repairs is so ridiculous. Well, it's me, sorry. And that we would be better off to get new ones. They could spend $900,000 for a 10-year lifespan. I mean, I can't see how we could do that. That's me. And once again, it comes back to safety. I mean, the board did say, all right, we haven't been sued there for 40 years. Maybe we have, I'm not sure. And maybe we might get sued a lot this year. I don't know. Sometimes you see in the paper, a SEPTA bus gets hit, and there's 800 lawsuits, but there's only 80 seats on the bus. I mean, I'm not trying to exaggerate. That's a concern that I have.
I totally agree with you.
And and when you got the electrician, is that the best cost we have? And we have to work with what the administration, where do you go? Where? Mr. Buckler. This report came out at the end of January that stated, and this is not new. Those pictures you looked at from 4 years ago, the rust doesn't go to bed at night, it keeps going.
How many people were injured on the winter system?
I don't know.
It only takes.
Well, we're not going to go back and forth doing this right now. I just want to
I don't think it's a question of how many people have been injured. It's the fact that we know that there's
We know
a
it.
problem right now. Not saying they're condemned, but there's a problem. How do we let people go back in those bleachers knowing that it could be an adult, it could be a child, that someone could be hurt? So like you're saying, Mary, the decision becomes, is it new bleachers or is it repairing bleachers?
And we could accept the risk and say, we don't care, we're going to do it. And then, and please, Mr. Clark, we can't do this, or we're never going to. Please, I ask your little leeway here.
Can you hear me? You know, this started, as you said, Barry, this has been going on a long time. And when we looked at repairing Poppy Yoder Field about a year and a half ago, and we did some good work on that. But it seems to me that the studies we did said that putting in a drainage system was going to be very, very tough because of the rocky subsurfaces. So I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I can say this, though, based on tonight, certainly Poppy Yoder hits a nerve here, and no matter what we do, we should be careful to make sure that the name Poppy Yoder Memorial, that stays because it's part of this whole community. At the same time, when you read the engineering reports that have been out now for over 5 years, our engineering firm has said that we've got issues, safety issues, and I think knowing that we have safety issues could put us, and I'm not an attorney, but it could put us in greater jeopardy of a really adverse legal situation. And I would urge us all to think about that very carefully. I have no personal view about Poppy Yoder Field other than I've got a couple of close relatives in this family, a couple of whom, two of whom both played here, and they're very strong about making sure that we keep Poppy Yoder Field. I hope it's doable. I'm not positive.
So to repair the bleachers is $945,000 for a 10-year lifespan. To get new bleachers is $1.2 million for a 30 to 40-year lifespan. Now, did you mention, Jeff, that if we demolish the bleachers and put in new ones, now they're going to say they have to be moved back?
Yes, that's correct. They need to get back probably the track.
You're going to lose that right on top of it. field.
So part of the thing that what people said, the feel of Poppy Yoder being close, it's going to be lost if we replace the bleachers. If we demolish the old ones, because it won't be grandfathered in.
There's other losses too. You know, district needs more field space already, regardless of the situation. It's going to encroach on what's the field hockey. So and this has been brought up for a couple of years now. So we already knew that if we fix the bleachers down there, that field would be knocked out pretty much. And how far back on the home side, we don't know either. We own the railroad track there or something, or some side.
We have enough behind the bleachers in the back, and we need, you know, good track with that.
Can I make a comment? I thought one of the issues with our Poppy Yoder field was that our bleachers were too close to the field, so pushing them back, wouldn't that allow for more safety from the football players coming out of bounds and everything? I mean, isn't that an asset, moving the bleachers back?
Yeah, absolutely, that's what we're saying, but I guess what we're saying is you lose that closeness that everybody wants in Poppy Yoder.
I think they'll be close enough.
Closeness.
Another issue that we haven't talked about is, it was 1 or 2 years ago, when I wasn't on the board, when the grass was being fixed after we had that very, very rainy season, and it was the whole thing was a mess and muddy, and it was fixed in the spring, and it was reseeded, then the students at South Middle School couldn't go out on the field, right? So it kept them off. They were not allowed to go outside.
For the first year that we were growing, we left the varsity on only, we didn't need band on or the JV team, correct? The second year they were on that.
Okay, so it wouldn't have any impact on the students at South?
No.
Okay.
Well, students, that's another issue. I mean, we have soccer teams, we have lacrosse teams. I've been to a few games, they get some fans, I don't think they get a lot of fans, they're pretty good teams. But, I think we have to consider the other teams as well. It can't be all football team. I think one of the speakers, Mr. Locke, talked about making an investment in not just the whole community, the whole sports are different. So, anybody else on the safety issue? Is that something that I don't feel we're overblowing that one little bit at this point. That really is a problem I have with that. And, if we do nothing and shut the bleachers down, how do we play? How do we play? What do we do then? Just play the games there with,
I don't think anyone's suggesting that.
No, I don't either, but I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here, because some of the people don't want to be sold a bill of goods, right? And we don't want to sell you a bill of goods. And we want to say, this is our challenge, and how are we going to best, meet that challenge? And then we didn't even get to the money part. So we're throwing these numbers up there, but we don't really know where that money's going to come from.
Eric, I think it brings us back to what you said. $945,000 in repair bleachers doesn't make sense as opposed to new bleachers for $1.2 million to me. When you're talking 10 years lifespan compared to 30 or 40. Now, in saying that, my question becomes, where are the new bleachers? And agreeing with what you're saying about safety being an issue, that we can't let anybody into these bleachers. So it's a matter of which location for new bleachers. And again, the concern being that time is an issue. We've seen that in the past when the field was an issue and we ran out of time to do, the board ran out of time to do things. So we have to be cognizant of that, because otherwise you end up with football, band, cheerleaders that now don't have either field to be at home. And then your next issue becomes, whose school are you having your football games at? And we don't want to be in that situation, I don't believe.
As somebody who's very new to this district, I think I can look at it a little bit more objectively. And this is a real struggle, I know, for the board, because they're in a tough spot, as you can see here.
They're faced with a situation that apparently has been going on for years. This is not a surprise. The situation has been deteriorating. And the Papa Yoder tradition has been there for years, and I get that. I feel that passion, and I really want to thank everybody who spoke tonight and did so professionally, which is one of the things I really love about this district, that people can agree to disagree in a very respectful fashion. But as I said in that letter that's on the website, this is imminent. A decision is imminent. We are in a safety situation. We have to do something. But we also have to look at the budget and the long-term effects. There are some short-term fixes and some long-term fixes. But whatever decision the board makes, here's what I truly believe, even though I've only been here for 6 months. We don't need to be a Papa Yoder to have tradition. No matter where I go in this district, I feel it. You folks have established something really remarkable here. And I am confident no matter what decision, whether we have to play temporarily at another school, whether we play at the high school for the 4 home games, whether we stay there permanently, or whether we're at Papa Yoder, I am convinced that this will be a hometown feel. And I will do everything in my power to make sure that it stays that way, whatever the board decides.
I don't know if that helps us. Helps us, but I appreciate it. Because you have to know, if nobody liked Papa Yoder Field, how long would this take us to come to a conclusion? Probably not as long as this, because we love it there. I'm not even from here. I love going to watch games. But that being said, I've gone to a few, believe it or not, girls' field hockey games, and I kind of like the new field watching. I have to say, nice view here. I'm not trying to sell you guys the field. It's already up there. It's there for a reason, way back when. I'm not trying to build a case here either, but the last group, 2 years ago, we were fighting to get up to that field. Now we're fighting not to get up there. So if you're me, I'm thinking my head's spinning right now. Like, you know, the old coach came back, not the old, the former coach came back. And so that put a different spin on it. Your predecessor, he wanted to get off that. I don't know if you knew that. So we spent a lot of time not making a decision. I don't know why. And now our hands are being forced. I like to condemning some of the things that to have it start a new tradition. I mean, I like what Dr. Adams said. I'm not even from here, but I feel like I am now. The numbers they're staggering, the difference. So, I mean, normally, if we are going to spend $1 million to have an experience, we don't do that right. I know that might sound harsh, I don't mean it. But we're open for ideas, and we're open where we have to logically arrive at how we're going to work. And even this year, if it happens, that we have to go. Let's say we have to go to the high school field. Well, there'll be bleachers there, but that'll be about it. And if we decide we're going to stay at Papa Yoder, what does that mean? How are we going to get people in those stands? Maybe you guys are just hearing it for the first time tonight. We've only been hearing it since about the end of January, where we finally push came to shove. So, I don't want to be the one doing all the talking up there. I don't even have any football players in this family.
Yeah, we have.
Thankfully.
Barry, could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
And we don't want to forget the band and the cheerleaders as well.
Well, that's right. We have a great band. We invest a lot of money in the band. They're coming to us. I mean, they're awesome. Our band is awesome.
Because they do have competition.
And their
on the field as
uniforms
well.
look good up on that field.
That spectrum of sound, but maybe it seems like, if I just want to make a suggestion, maybe people could ask questions.
Yeah.
And not, I mean, it's up to you.
No, I think that's a good idea. I'm tired of talking about it.
And then we could bring it back to the board discussion, but I don't know if you want to limit it to questions or comments.
Mrs. Miller,
I'd just like to make a comment. I was born here, Barry. I was raised here and live here now. I do understand the tradition. I value our tradition. I value our communities, our small town feel. I hate to see things change. It almost brings me to tears when I see new development come up. I was looking at option 6, and if we blew out the concession stand, the locker room, and the bathroom, that would knock out almost $800,000, bringing it down to $2.85 million. I think that would be an option to consider as well. option 6A. To just add the fencing. Option 6, and just add the fencing and take out the concession stands, the locker room, and the bathrooms. Because Mike over here at Dewey says that there's a security issue with the fencing, so I think that's pretty important to get that resolved.
But you're saying spend money to correct the field issues?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
That's
where I'm
option
struggling,
six.
because
Yeah.
that's going to shut down the field until that's done. I'm sure that can't be done right away, so.
Well, can't we phase it in like we're going to be phasing in the high school field?
I mean, you,
Phasing in the
especially if
changes.
if you're gonna go with grass, you can't, it's gonna take over a year to dig everything up and,
It's gonna have to be a 2-year project at least.
just so people realize that. I
Well,
mean,
that's good.
I
I
agree
know that's
with
good
you that.
information for them to understand that.
And that's where I'm struggling with, if I certainly would like to see Poppy Yoder, if we're gonna put the money into it, be a premier field. We have to repair the field. I mean, we heard, how many years have we been hearing about?
Well, for me personally, just 2.
Well, I've been here
No, I've only been on the
so
board
I-
2 years.
so I've heard about it.
Barry, just say,
Yeah, sure.
like Ada, I know probably half these boys here. I've been before the board, sitting in your seats for several years. Like Barry said, fighting the other side to do something better for all of the boys, all of the band, the cheerleaders, the football players. It's not just about football, it's about all the students. As most of you know, I have a son playing football. So this is really a really tough thing for me too, to sit here, but to also be a parent and make these decisions and listen to people who've played there for years, who've had family play there, who play there now. I hope that people realize that none of us are taking this decision lightly. And I agree with what Mrs. Miller's saying, you know, if Poppy Yoder is truly where we're going to spend the money to stay here, and what Bill just said too, that, you know, the field has definitely been an issue for many years. My older son played there when it was the mud pit. And there were boys hurt there. There were other issues beyond just the fact that it's muddy. We have to do this right if we're going to do it. Before I sat up here, last year was part of the public that was invited to the community summit. And like Coach Hollenbach spoke, and several other people here have spoken, that there's support from this community. And part of what we talked about at that time was to make this, if this is truly what we decide to do as a board, because again, for the past couple of years, the push has been to move to this turf field, and there's been so much discussion that I've heard of people say, we have a turf field, why don't we have a stadium? Why aren't we playing there? There's obviously reasons why, and now we're hearing why. But some of the ideas that came out of that summit was fundraising, like Coach Hollenbach said, you know, pavers, bleacher seats, things like that. Reach out to your alumni. And this becomes a project that we're going to need support from the community over several years. And if it becomes more of a community project and puts ownership into this project, that it's not just a burden on the taxpayers, and that we don't have to say, we want to revamp our stadium for $2.5 million, and we want you to pay for it. I don't think we're in a position as a board to do that either. We do have to spend what money we have in the smartest way. So, no, this is safety issues, this is tradition issues, this is money issues, all of this. So yes, we have 7 options here, but you know, I think maybe right now it's take bits and pieces out of some of these options, make the decision of where it is that we're going to be, and go from there, and use our assets, which is the community as well with this, to get them involved.
Jeff, could you go over the possible timeline? So if we did either, I mean, it seems like people are saying if we wanted to fix the field at Poppy Yoder, so either option 5 or 6, what the timeline for that would be versus the timeline for option 7. asking, but if the field would be, if we'd be able to play in the fall, what would
Well,
happen?
we've looked at redoing that field a few years back. So first off, after board approval, a little higher, okay. Now, once we had approval, we'd have to go to land development, and we'd be looking at 6 to 9 months before approval. That's before we can touch the field itself. So let's just say that happens next month. Where does that put us into next November, roughly? I don't know that we're going to touch the field in November. Maybe you can chip in any time. So maybe we're a year from now before we're touching the field itself. Meanwhile, we could probably do bleachers. You know, go out to bid, get bleachers in, whatever options we're talking about. The field itself, then, I think we'd have to be off it for a full year. So we're starting next year, and we're off for a full year. So is that 17, September, 16? So that's just rough estimates. You know, again, when Mike gets here for, say, just bleachers alone, formal approval February 24th for us to move ahead. This is just for bleachers. Advertising, bids received March 11th. Board approval March 24th. Notice to proceed April 7th. Shop drawings and all that for lead time. We're just barely going to get them in September 16th. Substantial completion.
Would that include demolition? Was that just to put bleachers up here at the turf field, or would it be to put bleachers?
We're going to assume we can do the same thing at Popular.
So you would be able to demolish?
We can demolish bleachers pretty quickly, yes.
Okay. And if we did put bleachers up here at the turf field, what would be the timeline? We'd get the bleachers in, and then you would, on all the other options, when would they be done?
We look at phase 2, and again, if the board gave us direction to move ahead, we'd start designing them pretty quickly. Probably go out to bid in a few months, taking our time, make sure everybody's on the same page. And then that project would start, I guess, spring following year, ready for September following year.
And how about restrooms and concession stand
All
and
that
ticket
here.
booth? I know, but what would we do for this fall, if we put bleachers in?
We'd either bring more temporary toilets in, we could bring a temporary concession stand in for the first year.
Okay. So there wouldn't be any season lost moving
No,
to the
there'd be no
turf
season
field?
lost.
Okay.
Would it be all right, before we go into the Crouch minute, we got a waiver grant for East Rockwell, and you know, we're talking about phases all of a sudden. So now we went from the project to phases. So what was the way that it was presented to East Rockwell Township? Our phase 1 consisted of regular bleachers. So
Mike, we'll talk a little bit about the meeting.
so maybe you guys should hear, you know, this plays back into finances as well. It doesn't hit us as hard.
Back in the beginning of February, the board asked the question, if we got approval immediately, can we have bleachers in time for the first game? The answer to that was, if we get cooperation with local authorities and we get timely approvals,